In Norway, there's a word that has no direct translation in English. Friluftsliv. It means open-air life, and Norwegians over 60 practice it every single day. Rain, snow, cold, it doesn't matter. They walk outside. They sit by the water. They breathe. And they are, by every measure, some of the happiest, longest living people on Earth. I used to think that was just good genes. I was wrong. I'm 77 years old, and I want to be straight with you today. Getting older in America is loud. Everybody has something to sell you, a supplement, a program, a 5-step plan to thrive after 60. Turn on the TV for 20 minutes and you'd think aging is a problem to be solved, something to fight, to reverse, to outsmart. But the Nordic people don't treat aging that way. They treat it the way you treat a season changing. You don't fight autumn. You put on a warmer coat and you go outside anyway. I first heard about the Nordic approach to aging from my late wife's cousin, Ingrid. She was Finnish, lived outside Helsinki, and she was 81 years old when I met her, sharp as a tack, walked 2 miles every morning, cooked real food, had a small group of friends she'd known for 40 years, no gym membership, no fancy routine. I asked her once what her secret was. She looked at me like it was the strangest question she'd ever heard. Then she said, "Robert, I just live." That answer stayed with me for 15 years, and I think I'm only now beginning to understand it. Stick with me here, because in a few minutes, I'm going to share the one Nordic habit that research says has the single biggest impact on how well you age. Not exercise, not diet, something most Americans completely overlook. But first, let me tell you what quiet life actually means, because it's not what most people think. When I say quiet life, I don't mean boring, I don't mean lonely, I don't mean giving up. The Nordics have a concept called Lagom, a Swedish word that means just the right amount, not too much, not too little, enough. Enough food, enough activity, enough social contact, enough rest. In America, we worship more productivity, more hustle, more connection, more everything. And by the time we're 60, 70, we're exhausted from all that more, and we don't even know why we're tired. My friend Gene, he's 72, retired electrical engineer from Ohio. When he retired, he immediately filled every hour. Golf 4 times a week, volunteering, grandkid schedules. He told me the first year of retirement was more tiring than working. Then his doctor told him to slow down, not for health reasons, just practically. "Gene, you're running from something. What is it?" Gene didn't have an answer that day, but he thought about it for weeks. What he realized was this: he was afraid of stillness, because stillness meant being alone with himself, and he hadn't done that in 40 years. The Nordic quiet life isn't about doing less. It's about doing what's real, what's yours, without the noise of other people's expectations. Now, I promised you the one habit that research says matters most for aging well after 60. We're getting there, but I need to tell you one more thing first, because without this context, the habit won't make sense. And it has to do with something the Nordics figured out about loneliness that completely flips how most of us think about it. Here's something that surprised me when I first read it. Norway, Sweden, and Finland, these are countries where people live alone more than almost anywhere else in the world. A huge percentage of Norwegians over 60 live in single-person households, and yet they report some of the lowest levels of loneliness on Earth. How is that possible? Because they made a distinction that we in America have almost completely lost. The distinction between being alone and being lonely. Being alone is a physical fact, one person, one house. Being lonely is an emotional state. It's the feeling that nobody sees you, that you don't matter, that you've been forgotten. You can be alone without being lonely, and you can be surrounded by people and feel completely invisible. What the Nordic cultures figured out is that a few deep, consistent connections are worth more than dozens of shallow ones. They don't try to be everyone's friend. They tend a small garden of relationships, carefully, consistently, and those relationships hold. My neighbor Walt lost his wife 3 years ago, moved into a smaller house, sees maybe 6 people regularly, and he told me last spring, "I'm more at peace now than I've been since my 40s. 6 people, that's his whole world socially speaking, and it's enough, more than enough." All right, here it is, the habit. It's not a supplement, it's not a diet, it's not even exercise, though movement matters too. The single habit that Nordic research and longevity studies keep pointing back to for people over 60 is this: daily, unstructured time outside. Not a workout, not a goal, not a destination, just outside with no agenda. The Norwegians call it Friluftsliv, that word I mentioned at the very beginning. Open-air life. And it's not a hobby, it's a philosophy. It means that being outside in nature, without a plan, without a purpose, is a legitimate and necessary part of being human. Here's what the research actually shows. Time in nature without a goal, just sitting, walking slowly, watching the light change, lowers cortisol levels, which is your stress hormone. It reduces blood pressure, it improves sleep. It's been shown to reduce symptoms of depression in older adults more effectively than some medications. But here's the part nobody talks about. It also gives you back your sense of self. When you sit outside with no phone, no task, no one to answer to, you remember who you are, not who you were at work, not what role you play in the family, just you, a person, alive, present. I started doing this about 18 months ago. Every morning right after coffee, I take my mug outside and I sit on the back step for 20 minutes. Sometimes I watch the birds, sometimes I watch the light move across the fence. Some mornings I don't watch anything in particular. My daughter called a Saturday morning while I was out there. I didn't answer. She called again an hour later. I picked up, and the first thing she said was, "Dad, you sound different. You sound calm." I hadn't changed anything else. Just 20 minutes outside every morning with no agenda. That's the Nordic secret. It's so simple it almost sounds like nothing. But simple is not the same as easy, especially in a culture that tells you every minute needs a purpose. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Robert, it's easy to sit outside in Norway. They've got fjords and forests. I've got a parking lot and a highway. Fair point. But here's what I've noticed. Nature doesn't need to be dramatic to work. A single tree in a backyard, a park bench 2 blocks away, a patch of sky visible from a porch. It doesn't take a fjord, it takes intention. Gene, my friend from Ohio, he started sitting on his front porch every morning for 15 minutes. No phone, just the street, the birds, the air. He told me after 3 weeks, he started noticing things he'd never paid attention to in 30 years of living on that street. The way the oak tree moved in the wind, which neighbors walked their dogs at the same time every day, the sound the mail truck made 2 streets over. I felt like I woke up, he told me, like I'd been sleepwalking through my own neighborhood. That's Friluftsliv, right there in Ohio. Here is what I want you to do today. Just one thing. Tomorrow morning, before you check your phone, before you turn on the news, before you do anything, take whatever you normally drink in the morning and go outside with it. Stand on your porch, sit on your steps, walk to the end of your driveway. Stay for 10 minutes, no phone, no task, just outside. Do that for 7 days in a row and tell me how you feel on day 7. I mean it. Come back and tell me, because I think you'll be surprised. The Nordic people didn't discover anything magical. They just held on to something the rest of the world forgot. That being alive, quietly, simply, fully alive is enough. You don't need to earn your peace. You just need to go outside and let it find you. I want to ask you something. What's one small thing, one quiet habit that makes your day feel more like yours? Not productive, not impressive, just yours. Leave it in the comments. I genuinely want to know. And next time, we're going to talk about something that most men our age never discuss openly. What it actually feels like to slow down, and why so many of us resist it even when our bodies are telling us it's time. That one's personal for me. I'll see you then.